Hello and welcome to another Friday conversation. Today I'm joined by Danielle Ayres, who is an employment partner at Gorvins Solicitors in Stockport. So hello Danielle, thank you for joining me. Come and introduce yourself.
Hi Hannah, it's good to be here. As you said, I'm an employment solicitor. I work at Gorvins in Stockport. I deal with employers and employees equally. So advise employers on everyday HR issues, from drafting up contracts through to dealing with grievances, disciplinaries, all the way through to, again, being instructed in tribunal claims for employers as well. And also the flip side to that for employees, so dealing with everything that comes with the employment relationship for them as well, including settlement agreements. And I specialise in pregnancy and maternity discrimination cases and family-friendly rights. So I am involved with a good few organisations. I volunteer for an organisation called Pregnant Then Screwed. I run their legal advice line. So the vast majority of my time really is taken up with those sorts of matters and helping out working parents, mainly working mums as well.
Do you know, I've got two questions that have just sprung to mind from that. So have you been very, very busy in this period?
Extremely, yes. Yeah.
And so because you mentioned there about the family related rights and things like that, has that come up a lot with lockdown?
Yeah, massively. One thing I didn't say, I just described myself kind of professionally then, but I am a working mum myself. I've got two young boys, they're 7 and 9, so we're obviously dealing with the juggle of being at home and working, and also everything that comes with them being here, so cook, chef, cleaner, teacher, as well. And that's the sort of things, that's the sort of inquiries that we're getting at the minute in relation to those with childcare responsibilities, especially now that the government have made changes to the furlough scheme and they're trying to get people back into work, but the nurseries and schools are still shut. That's obviously causing an awful lot of issues as to how working parents are supposed to cope and what they're supposed to do. So we've been dealing with an awful lot of inquiries about that and the options that are available to working parents. And there's, on the flip side to that as well, speaking to employers who really do want to support their staff and want to support their employees, but need them back in work, and what they can do to kind of help them with the juggle. So that's been massive for us, or me, doing what I do. And as well with people that are pregnant in the workplace. Obviously pregnant employees were put into a vulnerable category, so they were put in the at-risk category pretty early on during lockdown. So again, it was dealing with, right, well, as for employers, what do we do if we've got an employee that's pregnant? Are they not allowed in work? Do we have to make adjustments? And the flip side to that as well, for people who are saying, look, they're trying to get me to go into work. Speaking to people from that worked in the large supermarkets on checkouts, dealing with NHS frontline staff who are being told, get yourselves into work, we need you in. When the government was saying, hang on a minute, take it easy, adhere to social distancing principles as much as you can. So that side of things has been really, really busy for us.
Yeah, I do hear similar from other employment lawyers, and I was doing some work with some HR people this week as well. And I guess for you as well, because you wear the two hats, like you said, you act for employers and employees. I do feel for people that in the HR position as well, because they obviously need the business to run. They need staff in for the business to survive, but at the same time, they have got staff who are either poorly or very worried about their health as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think, as well as the kind of the childcare issues that we're experiencing, we've obviously had to experience with everything else that comes with this lockdown and the impact of the pandemic for businesses and for employees as well. So usually when we're dealing with, redundancies or layoffs, an employee can feel, pretty kind of backed into a corner and I'm losing my job, and it's the employer's decision that's prompted that. Whereas at this minute in time, it's actually a decision that the employers are being forced into as well. So we've had discussions with our employer clients that we don't usually have, as I'm losing staff here that I don't want to be losing. I've ploughed a lot of time, a lot of effort into these people, but we just can't afford to keep them on. So it's a really, really difficult time, and with everything else that the government have thrown at us in relation to the changes that have come in, you know, we're quite used to the law changing pretty quickly and pretty rapidly in an employment sense. You know, we do tend to have updates every year and changes that do come into force, but you know, this has really kept employment lawyers and, like you say, HR people on their toes, because the changes that have been made week on week generally kind of come back to the employment relationship, such as furlough and you know, this, as I said, the school's not opening, but people being asked to go back into work. So it's been a really strange time and an extremely busy one as well for us.
Absolutely, and I really don't know how you all do it in employment law with keeping up with all these changes. As you said, you're used to things changing pretty rapidly, which I confess is why I became a property lawyer, because we're still relying on the 1925 Act. I don't have to follow a lot, but I don't envy you all with everything you've had to keep up with, and you know, the lack of guidance sometimes that comes out with it, and not sure how to interpret it and what's right.
Well, that's exactly it. I think I've been to a couple of chats that you've had, you know, before now, and a couple of events that you've spoken at where you've said about solicitors, you know, liking to be in control, and we like to sound like we know what we're talking about all the time, you know, and have that element of kind of, you know, OCD, and you know, we pride ourselves on being right, but you know, it's been hard for us because we've been saying these are the changes that the government have said in their announcements and in the briefings, and this is the advice that we'll give you. However, we're still waiting for the guidance, so we can't tell you for sure that that is the answer. And then the guidance comes out and quite often goes completely against what you've given the advice on. So then you're going back and giving, you know, other advice as well. And particularly with this flexible furlough scheme that they've brought in, none of us could have envisaged what Rishi I can never say his name properly, Rishi Sunak was going to say, in bringing the furlough scheme, you know, flexible furlough forward. We all thought that furlough was going to be open until October. We knew that there was going to be changes, but you know, that's meant that actually people have had to deal with things a bit more rapidly than they would have wanted to in getting staff on furlough, if that's something that they envisage for the latter part of this year. So yeah, it has been a whirlwind for us this last few weeks, I think.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned, I mean, I know that you do work with the Pregnant Then Screwed and similar other organisations like that, sort of helping with, you know, women's rights in terms of after they've had children or as you say, pregnant. And I guess things like flexible working and remote working and part-time and things come up a lot for you in that role. Do you think this is going to change things? Do you think COVID now and the fact that we've all worked from home, whereas in the past, I know law firms have been saying, oh, your job can't be done remotely, it can't be done flexibly, it can't service the client, you can't work a team like that. Do you think it's going to be different after this?
I really hope so. I can't see, you're right, it does come up a lot, and we help people to submit flexible working requests and deal with them as they go through the flexible working kind of procedure that you have, you know, the meetings and the appeals, and quite often you do find that they just say, you know, we don't have anyone working from home, or we don't have the facilities for you to work from home, or we can't, you know, we just can't put it into place. So for employers that had previously said that, and even for employers that were a bit stick in the mud, you know, we don't want to be doing this, and setting the ways. And I think with the legal profession, you know, sometimes we are kind of commandeered by the old guard, aren't we, in terms of the way that we do stuff, and you know, again, pretty set in our ways as to the way that we see things, the way that we envisage things should be carried out, that will have given employers a push, and it'll have shown them that there are many benefits to flexible working, that perhaps whilst they were being told that there were those benefits before, they hadn't actually realised them. So I am hoping that this will be the push that we need to go towards a more kind of flexible working environment for more people than before.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I agree with you. I do hope it, as you say, it's about, we've told employers for years that it will work, and it will be a good thing for productivity and happiness and retention and all those sorts of things. But actually, if they can see it for themselves now, then maybe that's the change that we needed.
Yeah, I think people keep saying, don't they, that we're not working from home in the simplest sense at the minute. We're working from home during a pandemic. You know, many of us, if we were working from home, I don't work on a Wednesday, but I regularly pick up work on a Wednesday into work from home. And if we work in an open plan office at Gorvins, so if we have chunky work to do, such as witness statements or drafting pleadings, then we do work from home. We have the ability to do that anyway. But when you work from home, usually it's quiet, the phone doesn't ring, you're able to kind of really get on with the job at hand. But at the minute, obviously, as I said, we're juggling everything, aren't we? We're juggling, you know, the kids being here, the phone ringing, dealing with things like admin that we wouldn't usually, you know, have to do remotely. So even when I'm working from home, my secretary's in the office, so I can say, you know, print this out, get it in the post. So I think, you know, it will be kind of, you know, even saying that while you have got employees that are home and they are being productive now, actually they could be more productive than they're being. So even if it's working now, it could actually work better for you once we get back to normal life.
That's exactly what I've been saying to people. You know, anecdotally, I'm hearing that productivity is up. I know it's not been easy for people, you know, exactly as you say, they're either new to remote working, so the systems aren't 100%, because you need quite a good IT setup really to be able to work remotely. And you've got the homeschooling or the very young children who are not at nursery, and you've got sharing the space with your partners. You don't have proper, you know, space to put your work in, but yet there's still this high level of productivity. So I think you're right. Imagine what it would be like when things are a little bit more back to normal. People will be, you know,
definitely. I hope so.
Definitely. So you touched on it there about how much you would normally work from home, sort of outside of lockdown. You would work from home sometimes?
Yeah, our managing partner is quite big on, you know, if flexible working. And making kind of work for you. So as I said, we work in an open plan office. So, and we do have meeting rooms, but there's a lot of us. So often those meeting rooms are booked up. So if we have chunky jobs to do, you know, we do it from home. We're all set up. Our IT is already set up for us to do that and work remotely. So that's something that I'm pretty kind of au fait with that already, to be honest. I think this will push us into doing that a bit more. But yeah, I work 4 days a week. I don't work on a Wednesday, but just given, you know, as many part-timers do, we do end up doing work on our days off. And so I do work remotely anyway on a Wednesday. But other than that, it is only if we have those chunky jobs. We don't tend to say, right, well, you work from home Monday and Tuesday. But I was even having a chat with my boss a couple of weeks back, and I said, I can see on the back of this that there are going to be quite a lot of flexible working requests that go in even at Gorvins who are open to it before. Because people are just going to see the sense in, you know, I don't need to be paying petrol to get back into work 4 days a week when I can actually do my job from home. Saying that, I have missed the office environment. I have missed, and I think I wouldn't like to do this all the time, you know, work from home all the time, because I do think that there is a lot that can be gained from you being there with your colleagues and with your peers. And I've certainly missed that during the lockdown. So I think, you know, it's getting that happy medium, isn't it, of working from home enough to then, you know, and being in the office as well for me.
Yeah, I think that's what I've heard universally, to be honest, whether they're junior people or senior people. Nobody's saying, I want to be at home 100% of the time. They're all saying, I definitely miss the office and my colleagues and I want to go in. But yes, I can definitely see that there'll be times when I want to work from home maybe a bit more than I did before. So I think you're not alone there. I think everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting because, like you said, I mean, you listed some of the things there, you know, saving money on petrol. Of course, we're saving the environment if we're not driving in, being there to, you know, as a lot of people want to do the odd drop off at school or pick up or go to sports day or go to an assembly or watch a swimming class, you know, all the things that traditionally people can't do unless they book a holiday, which is really silly, I think. But they'll be able to do if they can work from home a bit more often.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even, you know, a lot of employers will see that they can cut overheads as well. You know, there's no point in having, you know, 4 floors of an office building and paying the rent on that if actually all you need is 2. So I think that, again, employers will see the benefit to it as well.
Yes, I agree. Although what could be funny is what could go the other way. I don't know if you've seen, obviously, that Slater and Gordon in London are shutting their office down and everyone will work from home. You could have such a backlash that the employers say, we'll get rid of the offices, and the employees are saying, no, we really want to come in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it is just weighing it up, isn't it, and getting that happy medium.
Yes,
it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think.
It is definitely, yeah, definitely. So what have been your highs and lows of your lockdown experience?
I think you've kind of touched on some of the highs. For me it's been spending time with the family, and being there. Usually we drop our kids off at before school club, and sometimes they're the last ones to be picked up from after school club as well, which with the mum guilt and everything else makes you feel awful. And I think that even just we sit down for tea together every night. We eat our tea. It gives us the chance to have a chat with them while the computers are turned off, and that's just something that we've never been able to do before. So just be able to be in that moment with them and spend some time with them. We've all purchased bikes, so we've been out on bike rides and explored. Kind of we live North Manchester way, so Prestwich, and there's some really lovely areas of green belt areas around here that we've just never ventured into. We've seen stags, we've seen deer, we've seen we've seen that many bits of wildlife as well. That's just amazing. So it's just allowed me, as I said, my kids are 9 and 7, just to kind of breathe them in a bit and get to know them a bit more, which sounds silly, doesn't it, with your own children, but sitting there and doing the lessons with them and seeing the way that they approach their work, it's been a real eye-opener for me. And it's been really lovely. I think we're never going to get this sort of time back again with our kids, and with don't forget husband as well, with my husband, with him as well. But I am really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying being able to spend more time with them. There have been the lows. I think anyone that paints a perfect picture, which I just made it sound like then, would be telling a lie. We've had the days where they've done absolutely nothing but argue with each other, and you've played referee from the time they've got up to the time they've gone to bed. But I think we were talking just before we started recording, weren't we, about the weather's been really kind to us, and we've been able to get out more. So there have been more positives that have come out of it for me, I think, rather than negatives. The negatives are there. It's been very, very hard for me to separate work from home life. I've got to the point now where on a Friday evening I have to put everything away in a cupboard that belongs to work, just so that it's away, and then I have the weekends off, because I think that they are all just merging into one for me. Whereas you do usually leave the office at 5:30, 6 o'clock and come home. I'm not logging off until really late at night. I'm logging back on really early in the morning. So it's kind of like they're not segregated for me. And there is almost that element of worry about work as well, that we are extremely busy, but that could drop off at any time. If they want us to go back into the office, what am I going to do with the kids? So it is, I think for me, there's been a lot of uncertainty in this time, no matter what side of the fence you're on. And as an employment lawyer, as I've said, we speak to people in every stage. So we speak to people that are on furlough, that know they're going to go back as soon as businesses open up. We spoke to people on furlough that might be made redundant. We've spoken to people that have been made redundant. We're speaking to businesses who don't know what's going to happen week on, week off. So and that's been the same for me. It's that worry, it's that nagging bit of uncertainty that's in the background, that's kind of been the lows for me. And as I said, not being able to kind of separate work from home life as well. But generally, as I said, the positives have outweighed those.
Yes, yeah, I know someone was asking me this week, how do I think the legal industry will change as a result of this pandemic and of lockdown? And that was one of the things I said, not just that, yes, we've seen that people are more productive at home. I mean, I have been saying that for a number of years to people, but this will prove it, the productivity at home. But the thing that's really interesting for me is the first point you made there, which is, for once, for many lawyers, they've had the chance to really spend more time with their children. Yes, at the moment we can't go out and we're not walking them to school and things like that, but I wonder if people will see that that's something they've never done before, but actually it really enhances their lives, their happiness, their sense of well-being, and it's something they want to keep doing into the future that perhaps they've not really considered before.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. For me, I mean, I'm lucky because I do, as I said, I have Wednesdays off. So I do at least get one day where I drop the kids off at school and I'm there at 3:15 to pick them up as well. But, you know, just sitting down for tea at night has been, I use that in every example that I give to people, that because we never do it. We never all sit down together for tea. You know, the kids sometimes eat after school club. My mum picks them up a couple of days a week as well for us, so they eat at my mum's. So we very rarely, other than weekends, sit down and eat together. So it's been, you know, every single day we've had at least, you know, I mean, worry again comes into it, doesn't it? Because of how much screen time they're having and whether they're getting, and that's just sometimes just got to be done. You've got to let them have the iPad or the PlayStation while you get stuff done. But, you know, that worry's there, but it's just given us that bit of time just to spend as a family, and to have, you know, again, you know, we are living with each other 24/7, so it seems silly to say to have a chat, but it does mean that, you know, the laptop's away for me, the computers are away for them, and we're sat there eating and speaking, which is like, it's a bit alien almost in the day, because we're just busy, aren't we? You know, regardless of work as well. Our kids play football, they swim, I play netball, my husband plays football, all that's been taken out of, well, for us. So, you know, we're not getting up on a Saturday and I'm taking one kid somewhere and husband's taking one son elsewhere. You know, there's that rush has been taken out of our lives as well, as the work side of it, which it's been lovely. It's been really nice.
Oh, so what's one of your biggest things that you've learned about yourself or about work in lockdown that you think others might learn from?
I've learned, I mean, it's difficult because we always go on about self-care, don't we, and spending time on us as well as spending time on the children, and I think that that's something I've not really been able to do during lockdown, because there's always been, you know, a room to tidy, pots to clean, a meal to make, but at the same time it's allowed me just to kind of feel a lot happier in what we've got and what we have here. You know, we know now that the kids are extremely happy at home, and it's given me that sense of, actually, do you know what, we are doing something right. You know, they're happy to be here, they're happy to be at home. You know, we can sort of, it sounds a bit silly and it's hard to explain, but you always have this sense, don't you, that you're not doing enough as a parent, and you're not you know, you're at work too much, or you're not. And actually that's not the case. Our kids are really happy, they're doing really well at school. You know, they've attacked their schoolwork in such a way that we've seen that, you know, they are willing to kind of dedicate some time to that as well. So it's given me a bit of a sense of, you know what, you are doing enough, if that makes sense. So it's made me a lot more content, I think. But as well, you know, it's knowing that I can carry out work from home. There was always a sense of, oh gosh, once we all go home, you know, we are still pretty paper heavy in my department as well. And it's given me that sense of being able to say, do you know what, I could do my job from home if I wanted to, and made me think, as I said, I've already said this to my boss, so it's nothing he doesn't know, that maybe when we get back to work, it will be a case of, you know, can I work a couple of days from home so I can drop the kids off and pick them up. And I know that's not going to impact on my work, even though you know, they'll be home at 3:30. I'll still be able to log back on and do the work that I can do. So yeah, I think for us it will change things for the positive, once things go back to normal.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so pleased to hear it. And I love your point you made there about, you know, that we feel like we're doing a good job, we're doing okay. I think that's a really great thing for you to have discovered.
Realised.
Yeah, I really like that, and I hope other people who listen to this might be able to realise something similar as well.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. So thank you so much for coming to join me, Danielle.
No, thanks for having me on.